Hi, my name's Vicky Saumarez, and continuing from the last video where I drew out a simple composition of still life that I have here. I couldn't wait, and I've blocked in some of the colours. But as you see, I didn't go for a life colour, true life colour, and I instead opted for complementary colours. Complementary colours, by which I mean the colours that are on the opposite side of the colour wheel. So this purple colour with the yellow-orange are on the opposite side, and so they should make more of a sort of dynamic contrast and a bit more of a ping. I'm actually going to knock back the purple slightly and make it a little bit lighter and pull out the colours of the flowers a little bit more and strengthen them. So although I'm not making it true to life, the actual shapes of the composition are true to life. So when it comes to mixing paint, and on these flowers, I've found that I've mostly got a lemon yellow here, but I have got a little bit of the greens coming in on the cooler parts and a little bit of the reds coming in. So when I talk about hot and cold colour, the redder part of the yellow is the hotter colour, and the greener part of the yellow is the colder colour. And I use that phrase a lot when I'm painting, thinking about what's hotter and what's colder, which is bluer and which is redder. So when it comes to mixing paint, firstly I have in my little pot here a medium that I mixed up myself, which is mostly linseed oil, but it's got a tiny bit of varnish to keep the gloss while I'm working. Unless I'm working alla prima, which is all in one go and wet on wet, I'm going to be letting the painting dry and then building up layers. And certainly the dark layers tend to go quite matte when they dry, and so you can't see the true hue or tone indeed. So the answer to that is either to oil out, which is to use some of the medium or the oil and scumble with a tiny bit on a dry brush, and that will bring back the glow, making sure that the paint is completely dry or you'll make a mess. Or you can add a tiny bit of varnish in with the medium, and that will keep the shininess in with the paint. So between layers you won't get that greying when it dries. So anyway, yes, so my medium, which is linseed oil, a little bit of varnish, sometimes a little bit of white spirit if I find it's too thick and gloopy, particularly on the early layers when you want to keep it quite thin. So the first sort of blocking in that you do, you want to keep quite a thin wet paint, big brushes. Don't be tempted to go into any detail. Because I had the pot marked out quite well, it was very easy to block that in quite quickly. And so to mix paints, say I'm mixing like the yellow here, you want to have a consistency that is like a sort of soft butter, I suppose, and always be generous with your paint. I don't know if you can see it there, but it moves around really nicely. Add plenty to it, as you'll see. And then when you put it on, you'll find that it will move around nicely on the board. So you want to block it all in, get rid of any of your background colour. What I did here is get the darkest darks in first. So this little shadow that pokes out from underneath the pot, I got in this deep purple. And then the lighter colours, the light of the fabric just next to it and the pot, I found that getting those three tones right relative to each other helped me get the whole tone. Because they're right next to each other, you can see easier which is lighter and which is darker, what needs to go up, what needs to go down. If you find it difficult to see the colours, the tones through the colours, which even I find quite difficult sometimes, if you take a photograph of your still life and then on your camera, if you can flip it into black and white, convert it into black and white, you can sometimes see better by just looking at the black and white tones what you can't see when you're looking at colour. So that's just a little tip. I'll go into more detail in the next video. Thank you.